What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we got a lot to unpack on today's live show. We're going to be having a whole lot of conversations around Kyler Murray, as he is the front runner to be the Vikings quarterback next season. So talk about him, also talk about some Jonathan Greenard trade rumors. Adam Schefter had a quote there. And then also an interesting quote from Kevin Seifert when he was talking about Brzezinski, the current interim GM for the Minnesota Vikings, and what his job really is this offseason. So we'll unpack it all on today's show, but free agency starting next week. Producer Dylan and I will be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Thursday as well, and it's going to be a ton of fun. We'll be live for probably 7 hours on Monday, starting at probably, I would say, 10 o'clock Central Time, and right back at it Tuesday. And then if the Vikings, if they do end up signing a Kyler Murray, we will be going live here on the channel, breaking it down. So this is one of the most important stretches over the next 10 days here of the entire NFL calendar. Like, the NFL draft is huge and those days leading up to it, but this next 10 days, the Vikings still have to cut a lot of people. They got to restructure a lot of people. They got to make some moves at the quarterback position. So if you guys are fired up, give me those SKOLs down below in the comments section. What's going on? Go saying Kyler's our best chance. Ben saying SKOL. Lego Fellow saying, I got spring break the whole week of free agency. Hell yeah, love to hear that, Lego. Can't wait to see you in the chat. Ben also in the building. Larry saying, I say no to Murray and Gino. Reed Southern saying, Pat, what makes me mad that people keep talking about Aaron Rodgers coming to play for the Vikings. I would rather have Max Prosman play the whole season. I disagree with you on that. I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers than Max Prosman for next season. Z Cool saying, SKOL, believe in the brass. Shout out to you, Z Cool, for tuning in. Sean saying SKOL from Australia. But let's ask you guys this on Kyler Murray. Should the Minnesota Vikings bring in Kyler this offseason? Give me an S for sign or give me a P for pass down below. No, I'm in the camp that absolutely. I think the Vikings have been blessed by the football gods that you messed up so bad last offseason, where you had Sam Darnold, you won 14 games, and you decided to bet on J.J. McCarthy on his rookie contract, the guy you spent the 10th overall pick on. The process there, understand it. Didn't end up working out. Sam Darnold went on literally the next season to win a Super Bowl. You would think it would be a disaster at the quarterback position the next offseason. But they were blessed that the Arizona Cardinals decided to part ways with Kyler Murray and that he will be available to sign a $1.3 million contract. Vikings fans should be absolutely thrilled about this, and we should be feeling lucky because when you have that big of a fuck-up the Vikings did last offseason, you shouldn't be able to fix it just the following offseason. Also considering the fact that the guy you were banking on, J.J. McCarthy, clearly doesn't look like he is the guy at this point. Don't really think the Vikings believe in him too much. And now you have a guy like Kyler Murray on the table right here. Take the chance on him. Take the chance on the upside. It's for $1.3 million. That's a bargain. So you guys let me know. S for sign, P for pass. We do welcome in producer Dylan in the building. JFR saying S for sign. William saying stop settling. Vikings think Super Bowl. Elijah Special Edit saying, I feel like J.J. McCarthy, because of you watch his last games, was amazing. He still has a lot to learn. I would say keep J.J. I just think those last couple of games are a little skewed with how bad of the defenses they were playing. Nintendo Mash saying, hey, Dylan and Patrick. Reed Southern saying Dylan with about 4 N. Shout out to producer Dill. Dylan, college to the Vikings, are you in on it, or how you feeling?
I would say I'm in just because of where they're at right now and where they could go with Kyler in the helm compared to some of the other guys out there. Like, you put Marcus Mariota on the Vikings, like, it'll be cool. It doesn't really help your ceiling, though. Kyler, you know that he still has a lot left in him. It's just, can he stay on the field? It's just like JJ, except Kyler's had more experience in that regard.
And also, Kyler's more proven in the NFL right now than any of these guys that are out there. And I still think Kyler, he is in that bucket of, him and Sam Darnold are different quarterbacks, but they are in the same bucket in terms of guys that were drafted by bad organizations, didn't end up working out, but they have a lot of talent in there, and they just need to get in the right opportunity. I think that is Kyler Murray. And the one argument that I'm just kind of getting sick and tired of hearing from Vikings fans is scheme fit. He doesn't make sense with what Kevin O'Connell wants to do offensively. Just because KOC in the past, yes, he has had more success with the statuesque pocket passing quarterbacks like the Kirk Cousins, like the Sam Darnold. Darnold's a good athlete, but you look at a guy like Ben Johnson. He was with the Detroit Lions. All types of success there. He goes to Chicago Bears. where Caleb Williams, a very similar quarterback to a guy like Kyler Murray, Ben Johnson adjusted. Ben Johnson leaned more into the run game. He leaned more into getting the ball out quick, using, Caleb Williams' quick release, which Kyler has a quick release as well, and also just letting those guys play backyard football. Because, yes, Kevin O'Connell, I still think is a top 15 offensive mind in the NFL. I still think he brings a competitive advantage to the Minnesota Vikings compared to a lot of these other head coaches. Like, even though KOC, my opinion, has changed on him from this time last offseason, as it should have. Like, if your opinion on Kevin O'Connell didn't change from this past year, then why are we even playing the football games? What's the point of the NFL? Like, it should have changed after this past season. But point being is, KOC can adjust. If he adjusts his offense, be more run-friendly to maybe cater to a more of a playmaking style of quarterback, sky's the limit with this group. But Z Cool coming in here with the $10 super chat. Shout out to my guy Z Cool. What's going on, man? Everybody show Z Cool some love. Give me those SKOL Z's down below in the live chat. As he says, as much as it hurt to see Darnold leave and then win a Super Bowl, maybe it's a blessing. We got Kyler and we get Kyler to do some amazing things. Never know. Everything happens for a reason. Agreed? I do agree. I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily a blessing that Darnold leaves and goes wins the Super Bowl. That was just kind of a kick in the nuts seeing him hoist that Lombardi. But, maybe that is it. Like, maybe our ceiling is somehow higher with Kyler Murray compared to Sam Darnold. Like, you really never know. Kyler grew up a Minnesota Vikings fan. Like, everything happens for a reason. I like to get behind that, Z Cool. I like the optimistic take that you got right here. Now, I don't know if it's a blessing that Darnold, like him leaving and going win a Super Bowl, but maybe just Darnold leaving, that opening the door for Kyler Murray. And Kyler at 28 years old, turning 29, maybe potentially, he could be the franchise guy for the next couple of years. Now, if I do want to play devil's advocate with Kyler Murray, we know the injury stuff. We know the stats about him pushing the ball down the field. Also, the other kicker with Kyler is his style of play is so dependent on his athletic ability. You still watch his tape from 2025. He is still moving the pocket. He's scrambling. He's playing backyard football. I'm a little concerned, and this is like, let's just say it all goes right. This year's really successful. The Vikings view Kyler as a franchise guy. They signed him to like a 2-3 year deal the following offseason. When he does turn like 31, 32 years old, and maybe he loses a step, I could see his game really falling off a cliff, but still just for like the next short term 2 to 3 year run with Justin Jefferson in the prime of his career, which is a huge domino of this Vikings organization, where it's like you have one of the best players of all time, in my opinion, in Justin Jefferson. You got to get him a quarterback, and you got to get him a quarterback he can be incredibly successful with. Kyler's that, at least for the next 2 to 3 seasons, maybe 5 to 7 years. Like, I don't know if he'll be able to keep it up, athletically, but for the next couple of years, absolutely. But coming up on today's show, we got a report out there that the Vikings players, that they want Kyler Murray. We're going to be breaking that down. And then also, are the Wilfs, Vikings ownership, are they calling the shots? We'll talk about that. And then also a mailbag, #Vikings or super chat to get up on today's show. A lot to talk about. 181 people in the building. Now 190 people in the building. Shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. Hold on. Reed Southern asking Dylan a good question. Dylan, what do you have to say about Brandon Aubrey being traded to the Green Bay Packers?
I'd get a little deja vu because it'd just be Micah again, where they trade one of their best players to the Packers and then they succeed there.
What would hurt more?
Still Micah, because I think you got more compensation out of him. If they trade Aubrey, like it's a kicker, they can go find another kicker. Micah's a generational player.
Yeah. Brandon Aubrey, Will Reichard, 2 best in the league, playing in the NFC North, could happen. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Kyler. Apparently Vikings players, they want him, so we'll discuss that. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Like these former players in the NFL, they're a lot higher on Kyler Murray than I think the consensus of all NFL fans. So break down Kyler Murray, another full video on him, and talk about this second show we got. We got a report out there hinting that maybe the Wilfs are calling the shots in the Vikings organization. I'm going to try to debunk that a little bit, and then we do have a mailbag. So #Vikings, ask whatever you want. But seriously, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We're going to be going back live, maybe even Sunday, because we're going to be in the office working on Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, We're going live all the time. So make sure you guys tune in. Tons of content over the next 10 days, a very important stretch here of the NFL calendar. So if you guys are ready to rock and roll, hit that thumbs up icon and also give me those SKOLs down below and let's dive into it. We got a big-time report we're going to be diving into on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports, where it's suggesting that Vikings players want Kyler Murray to be their next quarterback. We'll talk about it coming up. But my name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in to Vikings Now. So let's kick it to Alec Lewis here, who had this report suggesting that some Vikings players want Kyler Murray to be their next quarterback. Alec Lewis saying this: I do know there is immense internal support from a lot of different people on Kyler Murray. And I would say that even some of the Vikings players appreciate what Kyler has done within the NFL. Now, I think Vikings and other NFL players know what Kyler is about because I still think Kyler has that feel when, whether you're playing with him or you're watching him from the sidelines or you're a defender going against him. When Kyler Murray still steps on that football field, he feels like one of the best players in the game. No matter if he's going up against Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, he has that feel where he is a former Heisman, former number 1 overall pick, top 10 pick in the MLB draft. He is an incredibly accomplished athlete in his short career so far. When he steps out there on that turf, you feel him. Like, you feel Kyler Murray, even though he is 5'10". He has that aura. He has that superstar presence. And even DeAndre Hopkins, his former teammate, he knows how special Kyler Murray is. He was tweeting out, he was quote tweeting a tweet suggesting that Justin Jefferson and Kyler Murray would set the league on fire. What did D-Hop have to say about it? He said K1 and JJ would be scary. So if we do get this news about Kyler Murray potentially joining the Minnesota Vikings, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP, and we're actually going live on the channel when it happens. So don't miss a thing. Hit that subscribe button. I think these next 10 days of the NFL calendar are some of the most important in terms of roster building and setting yourself up for 2026. So there's going to be a ton of moves, and anytime the Vikings make a move, we will make a video for you guys. So hit that subscribe button today and lock us in as your go-to Vikings YouTube channel. Now, talking about players wanting Kyler Murray. If I am Justin Jefferson, and he knows he's the best wide receiver in the National Football League, he is 26 years old, he's turning 27 next football season. If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm not trying to start drama with this take or get headlines here. I am telling the front office, you sign Kyler Murray or you trade me this offseason. Because he understands. His prime of his NFL career probably started last year, and it's for the next 4 football seasons. He can't have another year like he did this past year, where him just doing whatever he can to just get to 1,000 yards. To have 2 touchdowns. This guy, number 18, he cannot leave another NFL season of his career with only having 2 touchdowns. If I am him, I'm putting the pressure on the front office and saying, sign Kyler Murray or you trade me this offseason because you guys aren't serious about winning football games. And I want to kick it to Mike Sando's QB tiers here. So Mike Sando, he talks to NFL executives, he talks to NFL coaches, and they vote on some of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. And if you go ask, like the common NFL fan, be like, hey, is Kyler Murray a top 20 quarterback in the league? I'd probably say most of them would say no. But according to NFL executives and coaches, he's been a top 20 quarterback and a top 15 quarterback for the last 5 seasons. Heading into last year, in 2025, people viewed him as the 15th best quarterback in the league. 2024, 17th. 23, 13th. 13th in 22, and 12th in 2021. And everything we're hearing about the Vikings this offseason, at least in terms of how this organization feels, is that if they just get that baseline of quarterback play, they can win a lot of games. Kyler offers you that. Kyler offers you just stability at the quarterback position where it's like, hey, we guarantee we're getting a top 20 quarterback in the league. And when you have a top 20 quarterback, when you have the weapons the Vikings have, and you have that top 5 defense in the league where they could potentially even be better than what they were this past season, and you add also that just playmaking juice that Kyler brings to your football team, the Vikings should be in the playoffs next season with Kyler Murray. Peter Schrager, also connecting the Minnesota Vikings to Kyler. He says, personally, if I'm Kyler, I'm not looking at price tag. I'm looking at best situation. And yes, Minnesota makes a ton of sense. Everyone says Kyler and the Vikings make sense because it does. The only people who really don't think it makes sense are the people who think Kevin O'Connell specifically needs this archetype of quarterback. Which, yes, in the past, Kevin O'Connell has only worked with, even dating back to Los Angeles, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, the true pocket passing QBs. He's never had a weapon like Kyler Murray. If Lamar Jackson was out there this offseason, would you guys be saying we shouldn't target Lamar Jackson because the scheme fit with Kevin O'Connell? That's ludicrous. How about the genius head coach that you have? How about he changes his offense a little bit? How about Kyler being an all-time talent? How about he changes his game a little bit? They make sense, and the only way Kyler Murray isn't a Viking is if Kevin O'Connell doesn't want him. And this is an obvious take here because the guy calling the shots in the organization this offseason is Kevin O'Connell. Players want him to be a Viking. Kyler wants to be a Minnesota Viking. Paul Allen was reporting that yesterday. So there is a clear connection there. If the head coach, if KOC, if he wants Kyler Murray will be a Minnesota Viking. And if they decide not to go with Kyler Murray, I think the number one takeaway I would have is, okay, they believe in J.J. McCarthy more than I thought. But after all the reporting we're getting, seems like they don't love J.J. McCarthy. At least they don't love him for 2026. And they want the best chance to win football games in 2026. It's Kyler Murray. And last night, I had to go back and watch a 40-minute tape, a little highlight reel of Kyler Murray in 2024. Kyler Murray was awesome in 2024. Not working with a lot in Arizona either. He had a young Michael Wilson before he broke out. Trey McBride was starting his breakout. Marvin Harrison was starting his breakout. But he was absolutely unbelievable. Some of the plays this guy was making were just flatly insane. And if we want to compare Kyler in 2024, how about the Sam Darnold in 2024? We're also, Sam Darnold, he's playing with the Minnesota Vikings, a way better support system than what Kyler Murray was doing within Arizona. PFF grade, edge to Kyler. Adjusting completion percentage, slight edge to Darnold. EPA per play, edge to Kyler Murray. Success rate, edge to Kyler Murray. And then completion percentage over expected goes to Sam Darnold. But looking at that, probably about even. And my best argument for Vikings fans here, and maybe I'm falling into the highlight tape aspect where, I always thought Paul George, little NBA comparison, Paul George after his big-time injury, he just wasn't the same guy, but he's still a good highlight player. But I never thought that matched the value of what he actually was out there on the basketball court. So maybe Kyler falls into that bucket. But when I'm watching this guy, I still see special talent. Even when you watch 2025, you watch 2024, this guy's unbelievable. Trust your eyes with Kyler Murray. Your eyes don't lie. When you watch him make some of these amazing, amazing plays that there's only a handful of quarterbacks can make, his escapability is up there with Caleb Williams. He reminds me of Caleb Williams, just he doesn't have the velocity that Caleb Williams does. Like, Caleb has a way bigger arm than Kyler, but the way they scamper around the pocket, it is very, very, very similar. And obviously, Caleb's been able to stay healthy. Kyler hasn't at their size, but they do play the game in a very similar fashion. Just trust your eyes with Kyler. And I want to ask you guys this. Will the Vikings make the playoffs with Kyler Murray? If he gets signed, will the Vikings be in the playoffs next season? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. You guys, let me know your thoughts down below. I think absolutely the Vikings will be in the playoffs with Kyler Murray. But you guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Y for yes, N for no. All right, coming up next here on the program, we got a little Jonathan Greenard trade update here. Adam Schefter tweeted out a couple days ago the Vikings are looking to move Pro Bowl edge rusher. Well, apparently the market is massive. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But let me tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, is Factor Meals. Head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Now, cold days are here. And if you guys got some big-time goals you want to accomplish, but no time to cook, well, Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So eat well without the planning or cooking, and Factor has quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. They also have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils. And they have meals that fit your goals and schedule. healthier eating, calorie management, and more protein. That is Factor. Also have over 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious through the winter. So head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan, but one free breakfast item per box for 1 year while your subscription is active. Shout out to Factor for sponsoring today's show. All right, apparently the Jonathan Greenard trade market is absolutely massive, which is obviously great news for the Minnesota Vikings. And as it should be. Like, Jonathan Greenard's a hell of a football player. He's great against the run. He is a guy that can play all 3 downs, and when he's healthy, he's a 12-sack-a-year guy. So those guys, on the contract he is, obviously have a big-time market. But it was actually Corbin K. Smith, covers the Seattle Seahawks, and he said, Vikings pass rusher Jonathan Greenard, I'm told by a reporter with inside knowledge of the team that Minnesota has received inquiries from half the league, including the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to be in demand, but sounds like a second rounder and a day 3 pick is the sweet spot. So originally the Vikings were hoping just to get a day 2 pick. So either a second round pick or a third round pick. But according to Corbin, it might be a second round pick and also maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick. And the one kind of huge domino that I think would have to fall before Jonathan Greenard gets traded is Max Crosby. Las Vegas Raiders edge rusher. A lot of rumors and a lot of reports out there that he is going to be traded before NFL free agency. So that's going to need to happen. And then I think teams will start calling about Greenard. Because if you're a team, like I just say, obviously the Bears won't trade for Greenard, but like the Bears are calling Las Vegas. Maybe take Dallas, for example. Dallas is really trying to get Max Crosby. They can't land Max Crosby, then they're probably going to shift their attention to a guy like Jonathan Greenard, who is on a better deal. And Max is a better football player, but the difference isn't too extreme. And Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show talking about it, saying, I don't think the Vikings want to deal Jonathan Greenard. But because of the cap issues, they're going to have to consider it. Minnesota knows how good he is, and they aren't going to be thrilled about giving him up. So I think also Vikings fans got good news on a Greenard trade because of this deal. I don't know if you guys saw it earlier today. The Bears traded DJ Moore for a second-round pick. Absolute fleece job by Ryan Poles. I hate giving the Bears front office credit. You guys know I hate the Chicago Bears more than any team in the National Football League, but they fleeced the Bills. They got a second-round pick for a wide receiver who he's a really good wide receiver too, and they got a second-round pick for him. Greenard, on the open market, has more trade value than DJ Moore. So if I'm the Vikings, if I don't get a second-round pick plus more, I am keeping Jonathan Greenard because there will be teams calling. We've talked about the Washington Commanders, the San Francisco 49ers, but there's also more teams. New England could call about Greenard. The New York Jets. What if the Jets just offer you pick 44, let's just say a 6th-rounder? That'd be tough to turn down. That's a top 45 pick in the NFL draft. The Kansas City Chiefs will probably be calling on Greenard. They got more draft capital after they traded Trent McDuffie. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're losing Trey Hendrickson. And Jerry Jones gave his yearly, we're going to be aggressive this offseason mantra to the local media. Maybe he finally gets aggressive and offers the Vikings a good package for Jonathan Greenard. But what do you think? If you were the GM right now, if you're Rob Brzezinski, what are you doing about Jonathan Greenard? Should the Vikings trade him? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And as always, SKOL Vikes. All right, what's going on, everybody? 250 people in the building. What's going on? Sparty Joe coming in with a $2 super chat saying Kyler to Jefferson touchdown. I just got a little sad right there because this exact time last offseason, you know what we were getting? I can't wait to hear JJ the JJ. Like, we were all saying, I can't wait to hear JJ the JJ. Those touchdown calls are going to be electric, yada, yada, yada. Ended up not working out. But, yeah, that JJ the JJ connection really sucked. Yeah, that was a kick in the balls. But it is what it is. But Kyler the Jefferson, sign me up. I think Jefferson would be thrilled about it. I think Kyler gives the Vikings the best chance to win football games next season. You can miss me with the scheme fit. He's a hell of a football player. Kevin O'Connell, if you believe he's a genius offensive mind, he can figure it out. Kyle Murray, he's an all-time talent. He can figure it out. I would trust in those two guys. Just get in a room and kind of sandpapering their differences on how they like to orchestrate an NFL offense. But Adriano coming in saying, die-hard Vikings fan here. Kyler is a dog. Playoffs. Yeah, I would be betting on the Vikings to make the playoffs next year if they got Kyler Murray. And I really wonder if the Vikings do get Kyler. I wonder if the Vikings will be a sexy pick to win the NFC North. They never are. Like even heading in the last season, I mean, the last 5 years for the Vikings, nobody's ever really been like, "Oh, I'm picking the Vikings to win the division." Now the division is very hard. Like there are three really good football teams, like the Bears, Packers, and Lions. They're all stacked, and the NFC North is a gauntlet. However, like the Vikings are stacked too. We have a top 5 defense. You got some of the best weapons in the league. We won 9 games last year with J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer and Carson Wentz. Kyler is significantly better than all of those guys with an easier schedule. 9 games should be the floor. I could see them winning 11 or 12 with Kyler Murray, and I just hope he is a Minnesota Viking. But we will dive into a mailbag here in about 20 or 30 minutes. So if you guys got a question, hashtag Vikings or super chat to get up on today's show. Whatever you guys want to talk about, mailbag. I love doing these where it's just me and you guys chopping it up about the Minnesota Vikings. Reed Southern saying, will you be live during the middle of the day or like afternoon next week? Both. We'll be live probably about 10 o'clock Central Time on Monday until probably about 3 or 4, depending on what's going on. Like if the Vikings are making moves, if they sign Kyler Murray, like we're going to be live for a lot of it. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Tune in for that. But hashtag Vikings, get those questions in there. Or if you guys want to guarantee your spot on the mailbag, just send in a super chat. We'll make sure they get that up on screen. But going to be a lot of fun. Next week's a blast. So just get those questions in there. We greatly appreciate it. But segment number 2 today, we're going to be talking about the Wilfs. Are they calling the shots in the Vikings organization? An interesting little snippet from a recent Kevin Seifert article sparked a lot of thoughts for me. So I want to dive into that. And like I said, mailbag coming up, hashtag Vikings. JFR, appreciate you getting a question in there. Adriano, are the Vikings making any more cuts? They have to. They got to make some cuts. Appreciate the question, Skyscrape. But let's dive into it. The Wilfs, are they calling the shots? Also, some rumors about Harrison Smith and Javon Hargrave. Did he call Brian Flores? We will talk about it. Let's do it. We got a loaded edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports coming to you guys' way on today's show. And number 1, the Wilfs, the owners of the Minnesota Vikings. Are they calling the shots? We'll talk about it. Harrison Smith, could he be returning for one more season? It looked like he was going to retire, but a recent report is suggesting that he could come back for one more season. And also Javon Hargrave, he flatly just called out Brian Flores on social media after he was cut by the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll talk about it on today's show. But if you guys want the Vikings to get back to the playoffs next season, just go down there, hit that thumbs up icon for us. Put today's goal as 300 likes. We should blow that out of the water. Hit that thumbs up icon. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you guys could smash that button below. All right, I want to take a snippet out of a recent Kevin Seifert article that he was writing for ESPN, and this stood out to me. He said Brzezinski, current Vikings GM, made clear that his job is to implement the Wilfs team-building philosophy, not his own, and not one that head coach Kevin O'Connell or anyone else conjured. Is he cleaning up for the next general manager or setting the table for his own tenure? The answer will be clear later this spring. Even though that is only a couple sentences, there is a lot to unpack there. And let's start off with this. The Wilfs team building philosophy. I am guessing that him saying that, the Wilfs team building philosophy in which Brzezinski has to carry out, I am assuming that is the Wilfs telling Brzezinski that we can't spend $350 million on the roster again. We just spent $350 million last year. It was a disaster. They're also shelling out a lot of money for the coaching staff. Like, we were all pounding the table. Wilfs, you got to pay Brian Flores what he wants. You got to make him the highest DC in NFL history. Well, they did. They paid him more than $6 million. Kevin O'Connell reportedly is making $18 million. So they're giving $24 million to the coaching staff. They just paid out $350 million for the roster last year. And now we're starting to see all these cuts come in where they, one, needed to make these cuts, but they're taking out a lot of dead money. Like Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, see ya. Aaron Jones, see ya. Like, I think there was a lot of pressure on Brzezinski just to not have that total number of money be close to $350 million. But also, Seifert adding the part about Kevin O'Connell, saying he's not taking any page out of Kevin O'Connell's team building philosophy. I think that's straight up from Kevin O'Connell's camp. And maybe it is true. Like, maybe KOC, is not calling any of the shots. That could very well be on the table. But I don't think it is. I think Kevin O'Connell is the GM and the head coach right now for the Minnesota Vikings. And I think Brzezinski is there to help manufacture the cap. Again, this is tinfoil hat, ludicrous conspiracy theory from me. Please don't take this, too seriously. But I really do believe KOC, like, in terms of the roster, like, guys on offense, he has the final say. And Brian Flores also, I think, has a lot of power in this organization. Where it is a two-headed monster at the top, it is KOC, it's Flores, and then Brzezinski's the cap guy who's just trying to manufacture and just trying to make it all work out on the cap. So I thought that was pretty telling from Seifert that Brzezinski, like, he's kind of just taking orders, which also makes me kind of think, is he going to be the next GM for the Minnesota Vikings? Are they waiting on a guy like George Payton? So, hey, we'll have that GM search after the draft, which is also another just crazy curveball for this Vikings organization where, even though I'm always positive about this team, for the first time in a while, they have started to feel dysfunctional this offseason. And that quote saying that he made it clear that his job is to implement the Wilf's team-building philosophy, pretty telling. But let's talk about Harrison Smith here. Alec Lewis, our guy, his great work, covers the Vikings for The Athletic, said it is up in the air if Harrison Smith retires. Bit of a shocker to me. Like, that got my attention because I think we all assumed number 22 was probably going to hang him up after the season, but now it sounds like he could return. Alec Lewis saying if the quarterback situation gets to a place where you can or where you create buy-in among a lot of the players, could be kind of a convincing component there. So clearly he's just saying, like, if Harrison Smith believes in the quarterback plan, like, he could get a lot of buy-in from the locker room, and he could potentially return. Now, I think with Harrison Smith, just on the field right here, because I think our emotions and how we feel about Harry is just like the player he was for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, all of us would say, like, absolutely, let me get Harrison Smith back. But on the field, I don't think Harry can be an every down player anymore. And listen, he has played so long in this league. I mean, Harrison Smith, just let me double check. I'm pretty sure he's 35 years old. Or he's 37 years old. I take that back. So playing safety at 37 is absolutely insane. He can't be an every down player anymore, but he was absolutely awesome the second half of the season. Like, at 36 years old, the game he had against the Lions was one of the best Harrison Smith games of his NFL career. And also, he offers so much versatility with this team where he's like Flores obviously likes to disguise a whole lot. And when Harry's lining up on the line of scrimmage, he is so good at disguising it. You don't know if he's coming or going. And, like, just the combination of, like, him and Van Ginkel, those two lined up on the line of scrimmage, like, it is deadly. It is a weapon the Vikings have. So I'm all in on Harrison Smith returning. Obviously, like, he's just great for the locker room, great to have in that safety room, help these young guys develop as well. Harrison Smith returning as a chess piece that plays, let's just say, 30% of the snaps, I think is ideal. Or maybe it's a 3rd and 8, Harrison Smith subs in, and he's lining up on the line. You don't know if he's rushing the quarterback or he's dropping all the way back into a deep half zone. I think him returning as a chess piece on a deal where he's playing 30% of the snaps, like, I think that is a ideal situation for the Minnesota Vikings. But if you guys want Harrison Smith to return for one more year, I definitely do, even though I don't think he could be an every down player anymore. I'm all in on it. Give me those 22s down below if you guys want Harrison Smith to return for one more year. All right, talk about Javon Hargrave, as he pretty much called out Brian Flores here in just a second, so stay tuned. But I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. Just head on over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. Now, the cold days are here, and if you guys still have some big-time goals but no time to cook, Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So eat well without the planning or cooking. They have quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. They have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils, and they have meals that fit your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein, that is Factor. Head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while your subscription is active. Link for this in the comment section and description below. All right, Javon Hargrave calling out Brian Flores on Twitter here. So Kevin Seifert just tweeting out saying, add Jonathan Allen to the list of a list of veteran players who would be departing the Vikings, including Aaron Jones and Javon Hargrave. And this random on Twitter just tweeted out saying, if you're a defensive lineman and want to get to the quarterback, Brian Flores' system is not for you. So, listen, obviously, Brian Flores' system is not made for the interior defensive lineman where they are trying to get, 10, 11 sacks a year. But I thought this was pretty telling from Hargrave. And this made me think of a report a long time ago where I remember Harrison Phillips, he was talking about something about how you got to kind of put your ego aside when you're playing with Brian Flores, because Flores, when he came to the Minnesota Vikings, he took a lot of these schemes from a college defense, where there's a lot of disguise and a lot of guys playing a lot of niche roles. It wasn't just free flowing, you're playing football. And a lot of the Vikings defenders were a little skeptical of it, but they couldn't deny the results. They were a very successful defense even right away with Brian Flores. But I remember Harrison Phillips saying my initial thoughts selfishly were not super high about this. It was dang, the way it's being described is you're an edge setter, you're a cutback player. It seemed like there was not going to be a lot of production through the system. But then I saw the problems it was giving our offense in spring and summer practices, and so I thought we were really onto something, and obviously it's been kicking ass. So if you are a defensive tackle to play in Brian Flores' system, you need to be okay with not filling up the stat sheet. You need to be okay with maybe when you look at your PFF grades after the game, you don't have that good of a grade. Because you go back and look, no matter who has been the Vikings defensive lineman with Brian Flores, really besides Jalen Redmond, they don't really grade out too well. And I think a big component of that is when PFF, when they're going back and they're watching game film and they're just looking at, let's just use Javon Hargrave, for example, and they see Javon Hargrave maybe in their eyes doesn't have a successful rep, but in Brian Flores' eyes, maybe that is a successful rep because he does ask his defensive tackles to do a lot of the dirty work, create lanes for other people, and it's kind of swallowing your ego a little bit. And also, the Harrison Phillips trade was a massive mistake. I think a lot of people right now are, crushing Kwesi for the Javon Hargrave signing and the Jonathan Allen signing, and obviously for right reason. Those are bad moves. But this trade was bad. You traded him for 2 6-round picks. Don't really, at the time it looked like decent value, but he was one of the best run stuffers in the league. Still had a pretty good year for the New York Jets as well. So that trade was a mistake. And I'll tell you what, the Vikings this past offseason, you talk about botching a defensive tackle position, they did just that. If the Vikings didn't have Jalen Redmond, you just take him off this team right now, we are talking about drafting 7 defensive tackles next year. Because you would have Levi Drake Rodriguez, Taron Ingram Dawkins, Elijah Williams. You had a bunch of just I think Levi Drake Rodriguez will be good. But he's a rotational defensive lineman. He's not a true star by any means. Jalen Redmond is a star. So he has a lot of potential to be an all-pro at some point in his career. But, thank God you found Jalen Redmond. Because the Hargrave deal, that was a joke. Allen deal, that was a joke. And then, obviously, the Harrison Phillips trade, that was a mistake as well. So, we'll see if the Vikings maybe could get Harrison Phillips back. Maybe get cut by the New York Jets. Returns of Brian Flores in the system. But definitely not great that Javon Hargrave is kind of steering defensive tackles clear from Brian Flores. It's probably a tough pitch during these free agency meetings. But speaking about free agency, if you guys are fired up for it next week, hit me with those SKOLs down below in the comments section. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to today's show. And we'll get on out of here. SKOL Vikes. All right, what's going on, everybody? Diving into a mailbag here in just a second. So if you guys have a question, hashtag Vikings, get up on the show. Excuse me. The Jets don't plan to tender John Mechie, so he'll be a free agent. Harrison Smith can help coach Dylan Thieneman. I would love Dylan Thieneman. I think he's my draft crush right now at 18. Tamar Johnson in the building. What's going on? I saw there's somebody connecting the Vikings to Kenneth Walker. Um, Sports Illustrated today, which I would be against it. Kenneth Walker's a fine back, but he's going to get overpaid just because of the run he's coming off of in the Super Bowl. And just draft the running back. Draft the running back every single year. If I'm an NFL team, I am drafting a wide receiver every year, and I'm drafting a running back every single year. Yeah, we have no money, Jay Vikings. So Kenneth Walker doesn't make too much sense. Lee Hefner in the building. What's going on, Brody? Yeah, Javon kind of going after Flores right there, but it is what it is. I mean, he's just being honest. Like, hey, if you're a defensive tackle and you want to put up numbers, probably not the system for you. But if you want to win some football games and dominate other offenses, it is the system for you. So I'm with the GIS wizard. How happy would it be if Sonny Styles fell to us? That would be an unbelievable adrenaline rush on draft day. We would be freaking out, but it's not going to happen. All right, mailbag coming up. Let's do it. Hashtag Vikings. Super chat to get up on today's show. Let's talk about it. Whatever you want around your favorite football team. Going to be a lot of fun. Little free agency mailbag here. Z-Cool, appreciate you, my guy. Reed, you got a question. Hashtag Vikings. Send in a super chat. And let's do it. You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, a mailbag where I answer all of your guys' questions about your Minnesota Vikings with free agency starting here shortly. We got to talk about the latest going on with your football team. Let's start off with my guy Z-Cool here saying, as much as it hurt to see Sam Darnold leave and then win a Super Bowl, maybe it's a blessing. We get Kyler, and we do some amazing things. Never know. Everything happens for a reason. Agreed. Zico, I love the positive mindset out of you. We need more positivity as Vikings fans right now. Everybody's too negative. Everybody's got a take. Everybody's going back and forth at each other. We need some more positivity, so I appreciate that in the chat. But is it a blessing? I don't necessarily think it's a blessing that Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl the year after leaving us. That one was a kick in the balls, no doubt about it. Was not having a good time watching the NFC title game or Super Bowl, watching Darnold hoist 2 trophies. But, you know, what if we do get Kyler and the Vikings win the Super Bowl next season? Like, what a revolving door or butterfly door effect that would be for the NFL. Where, let's just say the Vikings win the Super Bowl with Kyler Murray next season. And it's like, so the Vikings had J.J. McCarthy, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold all in a room. They won 14 games. Let Darnold go. They try J.J. McCarthy. Doesn't work. Darnold wins the Super Bowl. And then the following year, 2026, Kyler Murray joins the Minnesota Vikings. Then we go win the Super Bowl. Like, it would be an unbelievable story. You know what? Everything does happen for a reason. Z-Cool, I agree with you. Blank Zone 8076. What's going on, man? Saying, thoughts on using Greenard to trade up to high first for a guy like Styles, possibly if Downs falls to where we trade up to, etc. Absolutely love this idea. This is something I've been pounding the table for on the channel, actually. And I've been also throwing out the idea of using a guy like Jordan Addison to trade up in the NFL draft. But, for example, a team like the Washington Commanders need an edge rusher. They have pick number 7 in the draft. Their DC is Durante Jones, former pass game coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. If you package pick number 18, Jonathan Greenard, and let's just say a 5th-round pick, you could possibly move up to pick number 7 and land a guy like Sonny Styles, land a guy like a Caleb Downs, where those guys enter this Viking system day 1 next season are probably a top 5 defender on the team. I love this idea, whether it's Greenard or Jordan Addison. I would be really considering using that and that pick number 18 to try to somehow get in the top 10 of the NFL draft. JFR coming in. What's going on, man? Saying, do we go out and sign a wide receiver? If we're going to sign a wide receiver, might as well just bring back Jalen Naylor. But maybe they want to get a slight replacement at the wide receiver 3 spot. Sign a guy for maybe a 1-year vet minimum deal. But I think they're probably banking on a guy like Ty Felton being the guy next year. So, yeah, I don't think the Vikings go out and sign a wide receiver, but we'll see what happens. Pilot, what's going on, Sam? What are your thoughts on the people who don't want Kyler because of mediocrity, but then don't want to develop a young guy to be elite? I think the people, well, I don't know if people don't want Kyler because of the mediocrity. I think Kyler is pretty polarizing, where he does have a really high ceiling, but his also floor is pretty low. I think there's some people who don't want Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith because of the mediocrity, and that's where I fall into. Like, why bring in those guys? It's going to be the same thing we've had, the last couple of seasons. But, yeah, I mean, if you don't want Kyler Murray, you should just want J.J. McCarthy. Like, we should take a swing. Like, that's what we should be all rooting for that this offseason. Take a swing. Go get Kyler Murray or ride out with J.J. McCarthy. Honestly, I don't want Geno Smith or Kirk Cousins even be a possibility. You sign Kyler. If Kevin O'Connell doesn't want Kyler, then you go sign Joe Flacco or Marcus Mariota, and you ride it out with J.J. McCarthy. That's what I would do. We got my guy, T. Sugar, coming in with a $50 super chat. T. Sugar, I appreciate you. Everybody watching today's mailbag, give me a SKOL T. Sugar down below, supporting the channel, sending in a $50 super chat. My guy, T, what's going on? He's saying the 2020 free agency class was good. 2025, not so good. Cannot hit on all, but unfortunately, our draft prospects have not panned out the last 5 years, putting more pressure on the free agency pickups. Seeps, who's your top non-quarterback free agent target? Great question, T. My top non-quarterback free agent target. I think the best one out there for the Vikings, if let's just say money wasn't a thing, would be Tyler Linderbaum, the center for the Baltimore Ravens. He's a top 5 center in the league. He would shore up this offensive line where we would have the great tackles, 2 solid guards, Linderbaum at center. He would be my top guy. But besides him, like a Jamel Dean would be up there for me, cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like a Nakobe Dean's up there. Or Devin Lloyd would be up there too if Price isn't a thing. Considering Price and for the Vikings this offseason, I think my guy might be James Pierre. Cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, has a connection with Gerald Alexander, played some really good football for Pittsburgh this past season. Watch out for him. I'll be very excited if the Vikings pick him up in free agency. James Pierre, keep your eyes out on him. But T-Sugar, great question. No doubt. Like, the Vikings having a bad free agency class in 2025, like, you feel it more because you didn't draft well. Like, if the Vikings had a lot of good draft picks, you're probably not feeling the, misses of Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. Like, yeah, Jalen Redmond was great, but, like, imagine if, like, Levi Drake Rodriguez was on the same level with Jalen Redmond. Then you're like, all right, so what? We swung and missed on those guys, but now defensive tackle is a need because you missed in the draft and in free agency. So, T, really do appreciate it. I want to ask you guys this. Name a random Vikings player down below. We do this periodically on the channel throughout, and some of the answers you guys give are absolutely awesome. So who comes to mind? Name a random Vikings player. Random one popping in my head. First one is Matt Asiata, but I feel like we get random or more random than that. We were talking about him the other day. Mackenzie Alexander, former corner from Clemson. Trey Waynes, that's a good random Viking. Get creative for me. Name a random Vikings player down below. All right, we'll dive into more questions here in just a second. But before we do so, got to tell you guys about today's sponsor. That is Factor Meals. Now head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Cold days are here, and if you guys still have some big-time goals but no time to cook, Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So eat well without all the planning or cooking. Factor also has quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. Also have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils as well, and they have meals that fit your goals and schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein. That is Factor. With over 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious through winter. Head over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off. Plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan, but one free breakfast item per box for 1 year while your subscription is active. Alrighty, great question here from Shane Editor 404. Tyreek in Minnesota or Stephon Diggs? Oh man, talk about two wide receivers with some off the field issues right there. The answer is neither. But if I had to pick one, Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs? Oh man, I would go Tyreek. I think Tyreek's more fun. I haven't had Tyreek on the Vikings ever. We've had Diggs. Um, that's a great question, though. I think the correct answer is neither. But hey, if you guys want to get creative, get down in the comments section. Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs? Who would you rather have here in Minnesota? Nintendo Master, what's going on, Mike? Saying, what are the chances of Rodgers being on the team? Not zero. I would probably say right now, if I had to give a little pie chart of who is going to be QB1 for the Vikings next season, I'm going to put J.J. McCarthy at 2%. I think there's a 2% chance week one, J.J. McCarthy is the starting quarterback. I'm going to go a 3% chance for Kirk Cousins. So 5%, 2 for J.J., 3 for Kirk. I'm going to go 45% chance Kyler Murray. I think right now he should be the favorite. I'll go 45% chance Kyler, 3 for Kirk, 2 for J.J. McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers, I would give him 10%. Geno Smith, I would give him 25%. So 40 the Kyler, 25 Geno, 10 Rodgers, 5 Kirk, or 3 Kirk, 2 J.J. McCarthy. We're about like 70%. I'm already losing count. Maybe give Kyler Murray the rest of the percent. So Kyler's up to like 60, 70% around there. Geno, probably about 20%. Rodgers at about 10. Then Kirk and JJ, very small, but about 3 and 2% there. But I don't think it's high. Now, I do think with him going on the Pat McAfee show and kind of leaving the door open of, he does want to play football, but he doesn't know if it's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I still think a lot of these guys, if you're a quarterback available, your number one destination is the Minnesota Vikings, which is an awesome place to be in as a fan because any of these guys are available. It's like, yeah, we got a pretty good chance of signing them. I'll tell you what, if the Vikings, let's just play this out. If they don't like Kyler Murray and they don't like J.J. McCarthy in 2026, if it's between Rodgers, Geno, and Kirk, it's Rodgers by a wide margin. So my rankings would go, give me Kyler. If you don't like Kyler, then start J.J. And if you don't want to start J.J. and you don't want to start Kyler, give me Aaron Rodgers. Reed Southern saying it. Do you think TJ will be taking a pay cut? And who do you have winning March Madness? Love this. I don't think Hawk's going to take a pay cut. I think he'll eventually get cut. I know there's reports out there that the Vikings want to keep him, but I just think that's going to be the end result. But who do I have winning March Madness? Tough question. I got Arizona. I think Arizona is the best overall team in the country right now. Got some great wings. Got Braden Burry. He's a great freshman guard. The big fella sleeping on his name right now, but he's a stud. I think Duke's a hell of a basketball team this year, but never forget, guards win in March. I don't love Duke's guards. I like Arizona's a lot better. So give me the Arizona Wildcats win March Madness this season. Mason, what's going on? Saying, should we go for Kenneth Walker? I don't think we should go for Kenneth Walker. Listen, he's going to get more than he probably deserves coming off the Super Bowl run he had, and good for him. He should get that money. That's the beauty of the NFL. Like, you go win Super Bowl MVP, you should get paid more than probably what you deserve. But in terms of the Vikings, doesn't make sense. I'm not a big fan of paying running backs regardless. Maybe the Vikings are a good football team. Could they use another dynamic back? Absolutely. But Kenneth Walker with the price tag, probably going to get overpaid a little bit. I'm going to say no on Kenneth Walker. Passmaster, what's going on? Saying on the plus side, Darnold did not win Super Bowl MVP. In my opinion, we still need a lockdown cornerback. See, Passmaster, appreciate you getting positive as well. But I'm with you. I would love to see this Brian Flores defense. Like, if he had a Pat Surtain or like a Christian Gonzalez and he could just play like half the field, and you're like, hey, if you're going to throw over there, you're throwing on Pat Surtain, you're throwing on Christian Gonzalez. I would love to see Flores with that type of corner. Like, imagine Flores, and imagine any DC, but especially Brian. Like, if you had a shutdown corner and you could get home with 4, how creative he could get on the back end. It would be almost impossible to score on. So love that pass master. I agree with you, though. Definitely need a shutdown corner. If you guys made it to the end, though, of today's show, hit me with those skulls down below in the comment section. Get on out of here. Skol Vikes. All right, what's going on? Who do you have winning March Madness, Dylan? You have a pick? You got to go Duke. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of teams that can actually win it, though. I think it's Duke, Michigan, Arizona. Those are the big three. I think that's about it. Honestly, I would be shocked if anybody else does. Dakota Dozier. What a random Viking that is. Nosebleed saying, would you say we are a Super Bowl team if we had a better quarterback? Absolutely. Absolutely. Super Bowl contender. We would need a lot of things to break our way, but we would be a contender. The Tar Heels, I mean, if Caleb Wilson didn't break his hand, I would have him higher up, but he'll be back. Pat, would you trade 49 for 29 with the Chiefs? Maybe you give up Greenard. You give up Greenard, pick 49, get pick 29. I wouldn't hate it. Ryan Manley, what's going on, man? Shout out to you for tuning in. Yeah, going to be a lot of fun, though. Free agency is going to be a blast. We'll be live all of next week. The one thing I probably need to get done on Sunday, we'll be in the office, is find a way where I can sit down. I cannot stand for this long. We're going to be live for 25-plus hours next week. If I'm sitting down, you're going to get better content from me, too, better thoughts. But we'll see. It's Damn Mad coming in with a $10 super chat. What's going on, man? Shout out to Damn Mad making it happen. It says U of A Wildcats. Nice choice. My university. Damn Mad. Are you there right now, or when did you graduate? I love watching you guys play. I've lost too much money betting against you guys, so maybe that's why I like Arizona a lot. But you guys just, like, when you're playing in Tucson, Arizona, you're probably going to get beat by 25 points this year. But, yeah, absolutely love Arizona. Bringing a bar stool? Yeah, we have some, but we just got to make it work with the camera and everything. So maybe we'll do our best. We'll do our best. We'll probably work on that on Sunday. Yeah, damn, Matt, are you there right now, or when did you graduate? T Sugar. T, by the way, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. Also, T, thank you so much for the Chris Carter shirt as well. T sent me a really cool Chris Carter shirt. That was absolutely awesome. T's a real one. But, yeah, damn bad. U of A. I got them winning it all. I think they'll do it. Would you take Jackson Dart over J.J. McCarthy? Yeah, sadly. Yes, here now. Graduated in 91. Wow. Oh, yeah. We already talked about Hargrave's retweet. If you scroll back probably about 30 minutes, I gave you my thoughts on that. Yeah, this is what Hargrave retweeted. You guys ended up missing it. It was just quote tweeting a Kevin Seifert tweet. And he said, if you're a defensive lineman and want to get to the quarterback, Brian Flores' system is not for you. I don't necessarily think it's him calling out Flores, but it's just him telling the reality of the situation. Like, yeah, if you do want to be a high sack guy in Flores' system, like, probably not going to happen. Is what it is, though. But, all right, everybody, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Audience was fantastic today. We're going to be live all next week, baby. It's the best time of the year to be a Vikings fan, be an NFL fan in general. News is going to be flying. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Hit that notification bell. Hang out with us. We'll be live this entire time. So if you guys want a place to chill, talk some Minnesota Vikings, hang out, have a couple of drinks, whatever it may be, we're going to be your go-to spot. So hit that subscribe button. Click that notification bell. T-Sugar, appreciate you. Damn Mad, appreciate you as well. All of the guys that super chatted today. Spartan Joe, Adriano, Z Cool. Really thank you guys so much. Best fans in the world. We'll see you guys possibly Sunday live as well. But for sure Monday, 10 o'clock Central Time, a.m. Tune in then. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.